So we're moving on to District 4. So we got David Blust and Larry Turnbow. So we're going to start with David. David's a Republican running in District 4. Mr. Blust graduated from ASU in 1978 and has lived in Watauga County ever since. He's been married to his wife Cindy for 37 years with 3 wonderful sons. And he's been elected to county commissioner 3 times, having served the citizens of Watauga County for 10 years. Thank you, David. Welcome. Thanks for coming. So we're going to run through the same 6 questions for everybody. So here in the Watauga Medical Center, first question's about health and health care. So what role does recreation infrastructure play in improving the health of our community?
Well, certainly common sense is the more you recreate, the healthier you're going to be, probably. Now, I overdid it. I've got to have a hip replacement in January because I played basketball until just a few years ago, so I've recreated too much. But certainly, I mean, that's common sense. So the more places you've got to offer and things to do, you're going to have more people participate. So certainly it's important.
Shifting gears to talk a little bit about economic development. So what role does recreation and recreation infrastructure play in economic development?
Well, I know I've had sons that played basketball, and they're always in AAU basketball. We go to different places and always putting on tournaments, and I see where's Stephen? I know he's in here, but we've had a lot of different, you get the Round Ball Classic, and these people come in and they bring in family members and friends and team players and coaches, and they eat and they stay in hotels and they go and they shop down at the mass store, and they are always spending their money. In fact, whenever I meet people out in the community and they're from somewhere else, I'm always saying, thank you for spending money in Watauga County. So yes.
Great. Rocky Knob and Ted Mack Soccer Complex are examples of recreation infrastructure that receives financial support for the county. As a Board of Commissioner member, do you think the county should invest money in local recreation infrastructure? Yes or no? Why or why not?
Well, yeah, we've always done that. When I was on there, Rocky Knob got developed and built when I was a commissioner, and it's amazing how many people are cyclists. It just keeps growing, and I've talked to numerous people that come up here just for that alone. Soccer, I think they have a number of tournaments there. I think ASU participates out there. So yeah, it's important also. And the community and the commissioners do participate in both of those, yeah.
On September 18th, the Board of Commissioners voted 5-0 to move forward on funding the construction of a new indoor recreation center. Would you have voted for this, yes or no? Why or why not?
Well, that's a great question. You know, contrary to popular belief, years ago they painted me as someone who was against the high school when it was built. And I was very clear all along that I wanted the high school to be put on a bond referendum and the people vote on it. I just think your money, it belongs to you. You spend it better than the county does. I think that it should have been as a bond referendum, and if it didn't pass, I know Perry Yates and myself already had in position what to do if it didn't pass, but it never went to a bond referendum. So, you know, we were going to build a swimming pool and start with that. But again, when you're talking the needs of the people in this community, I would support it now, certainly, because the ship's already left the bay. But at that time, I would have pushed for a bond referendum. I think it's important that you have a say-so, the citizens do, on how the money's spent. When you're talking $45 million, that's a lot. The high school ended up being $89 million, and there was never a price tag on it. So yeah, that's my main problem with it, is we've got schools that need to be developed. I mean, are schools important? Sure they are, or be built.
So I just want to make sure, just because we're asking everybody the same question, so would you have supported that vote or no?
That's a hard question to answer, but the bottom line is I wanted it to be a bond referendum, and I would have supported that and then gone along with the people what they said. I know, 9 years ago, they voted overwhelmingly not to support one. This is a little bit different, but you know, it was in place for us to go ahead and you know, build a swimming pool. After that, the pool's been sucking money for years now, and so, you know, at this juncture, yeah, it's moving forward, and I would support it from this juncture on. Now you just got to figure out how you're going to pay for it.
So as a follow-up, will you support the completion of the recreation center as it's currently planned?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. I mean, again, the ship has left the bay there or the dock, and it's now you gotta figure out how you're gonna pay for it. And it was 30 million, it's up to 38, some change, 38 million. Probably gonna be higher than that before it's over with. That is always a concern with me. I'm first and foremost telling people, the number one thing you can remember as a commissioner or at any level is who the money belongs to. It belongs to the 55,000 people that live in this county. So I'm always trying to be a good steward of money, but yes, at this juncture, yes, no question.
Last question is about Middle Fork Greenway. So they recently received a grant of $450,000 that required matching funds. And so the state funds this type of recreation. They did $6.7 million across the state in this last year. Do you think the county should invest money in constructing the Middle Fork Greenway? Yes or no? Why or why not?
Well, yes, we've done that in the past. In fact, we've been very instrumental in trying to tie in Boone and Blowing Rock. I think they're trying to go to Todd now, which there's been a lot of talk about this being another creeper trail like Abingdon is, Virginia. So, you know, that's just like the Rocky Knob Park. That would bring people up here, no question.
Great. David, thank you. Good, David. All right. So we'll bring Larry Turnbow, also District 4. He's a Democrat running there. Mr. Turnbow is retired from a career in environmental field testing and water and wastewater management, having worked both for government and private industry. He played several sports growing up, spending most afternoons and Saturdays at his local rec center. He and his wife Marjorie have been married for 34 years and moved to Watauga County 20 years ago to raise their 3 children, and he's currently serving as a county commissioner. Very welcome.
How are you?
Yeah, thanks for coming. So we're going to do 6 questions, same 6 questions that we've done for everybody.
Absolutely.
So we're here at Watauga Medical Center. What role does recreation infrastructure play in improving the health of our community?
Well, it's not just the health of kids. I think we dwell into that a lot, but I know that I'm aging out, and having a safe indoor facility so that I can go and walk, exercise, do those sorts of things is incredibly appealing. Particularly as we get older, I think exercise, diet, those kinds of things play an important part in keeping us healthy. So yes, we certainly want to get younger children, we want them involved. It helps with their health, but it also helps some of us that are a bit older stay a little healthier longer.
Moving to talk a little bit about economic development, what role does recreation and recreation infrastructure play in economic development?
Well, a lot of I'm on the EDC, for folk that don't know, a lot of the studies that we've looked at have to do with what we either have locally or what we don't have locally. And quality of life is an important thing, particularly for small, medium-sized businesses. These are the sorts of things that we want in Watauga County. We want good, sustainable jobs and businesses. Something that we didn't have was a recreation facility, and that was a glaring part of the puzzle that we were missing. But of course now we're taking care of that, so it will really help in the future with our EDC.
Great. So Rocky Knob and Ted Mack Soccer Complex are examples of recreation infrastructure that received financial support from the county. Do you think the county should invest money in local recreation infrastructure? Why or why not?
I've been a firm believer that local governments do have to lead in that area because, again, it goes back to quality of life. Property values go up. The types of businesses, the types of professions that you can get in when you have varied recreation types of programs, those things are important for your economic development. There are a couple of ways that we can go about financing these things. Part of it is we can either raise taxes, or the better solution is by growing our tax base. this helps grow our tax base and so that we can keep our tax rates down, and that's what we're desperately trying to do.
So on September 18th, the Board of Commissioners voted 5-0 to move forward on funding the construction of the new Community Rec Center. You voted for this since you're on the commission. Why? What was your? Why did you vote the way you did?
Well, when I ran, I said that I was going to vote for a recreation facility, but the reason that I voted for it, and the reason that I was a big supporter, is because I grew up in a rec facility. I played sports in school, but during the summer, during the weekends, those sorts of things, I spent a great deal of time in my rec center. And I can say honestly, it probably kept me out of a lot more trouble than I want to think about. It's a good community exercise. It's not just for the physical part, but it's also for the social part. And we want our children to have that also. Plus, those of us, again, that are older, it might even help us socialize again. That's why I supported it.
Well, this is a follow-up. So will you support the completion of the rec center as it's currently planned? Yes or no?
Well, yes.
Okay. The Middle Fork Greenway recently received a grant for $450,000 for the required matching funds. And the state funds this type of recreation, and they did $6.7 million of that across the state this last year. Do you think the county should invest money in constructing the Middle Fork Greenway? Yes or no? Why or why not?
We voted to go into matching. Again, I'm on EDC. Wendy came and did a great presentation, spoke about all of the value-added economic sorts of returns that we will get from the Middle Fork from other greenways across the country that they studied, had great numbers. The EDC Commission voted unanimously to give them money. So we know that it'll help in the long run, not just with health, not just economically bringing folk in, but it's something that also enhances, again, quality of life here.
Great. Let's give Mr. Turnbow a hand. Thanks, Larry, for coming.
Thank you.